Hello, friends. A very warm welcome to the next episode on economic optional paper 2 we have been taking up. But again, I'm stressing upon these are very, very important themes which are actually linked with general studies also. So, a warm welcome to all of you on Ansarkari. And our idea had been again to pick up themes and to understand and to learn about them in an organic manner. We do a complete research. We try to go for all kind of information bank and try to do complete R&D and content learning, but not in a mechanical manner. So this is whole idea is, and we are again improvising. We are again working and applying ideas so as to make it more simple, clearer, and we also believe in the fact that mindset, learning ability, and ability to say what is required at the right moment makes a difference. So the question is says that examine the labor policy of India. It is not talking about the time frame and its impact on employment market in Indian economy. So very, very broad question. So we have to first see, first of all, was there any labor policy when India got independent? And in fact, in the pre-liberalization era, the kind of labor laws are there. They are more restrictive. They are more rigid. They are more, they are more, what I should say, they are not pro-enterprising. That is why as soon as there is actually proliferation of new ideas and dismantling of license raj, and you have dismantling of rigid and closed economy, then labor policy definitely comes into picture. And we have always been following ILO. We in the recent times also, I believe the answer would have been even talking about the four labor codes. Otherwise, Industrial Dispute Act and labor unions and all those kind of things have been there. In fact, Maruti Suzuki is a very, very important example when it comes to labor and management relations. And I recall a couple of years back, there had been a very, very big incident at Manisa, in which there was a big strike, huge strike. So that is why one is that example. Another example of the current times is at Samsung in Tamil Nadu, where Tamil Nadu government and the labor department it played a very important and a constructive role with respect to management and with respect to employees also. So the labor policy in India is very progressive. It derives its strength from the directive principle of state policy. Also, it believes in economic justice, and EPFO, the role of Employment Provident Fund organization, is very important over here. In fact, Ministry of Labor is also working in that. So that is why it is a very broad, because we have a large sect of informal economy today. We have gig economy, and then we speak about bringing the security aspect or social security aspect also to a larger section. And in urban areas, we are speaking about vendors also, and at the same street vendors, for them also we are speaking about. And then so we have sectors emerging up. So that is why there is no one concrete way, but there are fundamental points of very important value which forms the part of our labor policy, including skilling and all those kind of things. And in fact, couple of schemes are also there. So the labor market is the largest force factor market in India as per NSO, and an institutional policy framework with periodic revision is key to achieve potential GDP by 2047. That is very true. So we have started in giving a kind of a very positive note, and our introduction, in fact, tried to showcase that NSO, if NSO is doing such kind of service from a long time, so we could have brought certain one fact into it or an indication, but we are trying to say a third person statement that the institutional policy framework with periodic revision is the key. So we do it. That is what I would like to examine and believe that we do it, and it is bringing certain kind of results. Labor policy, a strategic doctrine, but is limited more to formal labor market. Four labor codes have been provided and need to shift pending since decades. Labor reforms promotes ease of doing business and attracts more FDI, crucial for buoyancy of manufacturing. Very true. Growth PLI scheme guaranteed 5 lakh direct jobs. Industrial safety for decent work condition, upholding human rights and labor. Fire safety drills with participation of municipal bodies and in administration. Introduction of living wages concept that is marked with inflation changes, ensure dignified life. But studies show the lack of definition of living wage in dynamic pattern. So obviously, Parliament board is responsible for this. Parliament must take steps. Gig economy is also you're talking about. Therefore, quick implementation of labor code rules is the need of the hour, as pointed by Minister of Home Affairs. The Minister of Home Affairs, by saying so, Minister of Labor and Minister of Corporate Affairs must be talking about it to align labor interests with the fast evolving world. So I think a very good overview is given, but then Industrial Dispute Act must be brought into picture, because that had been the key to India. And then there have been certain committees also been formed so as to see that how the labor's well-being can be taken care of, and uh, one line or two line on labor unions, because they are very important. They are very big unions are there, and railways is the biggest PSU. It has got one of the largest labor forces. So I think two layers are covered in the answer. Very broad overview is given, but depth, if we go by the depth and the understanding of the question, I believe one more layer we could have, we must take up. So that idea we will try to take up when we are discussing further. National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme should be reunited to create productive permanent assets to promote employment and generate income in the rural sectors critically valued. So very true. This has been speaking about for a long time. MG Narega is a scheme pillar of rural economic growth which guarantees 100 days of employment to the unskilled labor to ensure sustainable income, and that is why it is a very important force which actually helps a large section of rural migrant workers not to get back into the trap of multi sectoral, or you can say multidimensional poverty. That is very important. It is actually a kind of a seasonal, it's a cushion against a seasonal stress. MG Narega is a cushion. So need for reorientation, growing labor force size with population with work population ratio 60% as of 2025. Need to shift from first come first shift serve basis to manage excess demand during unforeseen situations, reverse migration during COVID. Very true. Direct benefit transfer has spread the wage transfer time, but politicization of scheme and questions of sufficiency of budget are concerns. In West Bengal, worker wages pending for a long time defeats the purpose. We can give example of West Bengal, but the center says that we have been doing what is required by the law, so we cannot take name certain states. You can say so. That's all. I mean, West Bengal is also okay, but then it is being alleged as alleged by West Bengal. You can say you can't say in West Bengal. The government is willing to shift to monthly payments, concern over increase in debt burden over workers, because social audit is also an important part of it. Present system provides seasonal employment, generates unemployment disguised in agriculture as a result. The skilling plus permanent assets will solve the twin challenges to reduce. This is one approach to take up the question. Second, you could have taken up that what kind of permanent assets actually MG Narega workers can create. It is all about water harvesting structures, or it is all about creation of afforestation activities, or campa, compulsory afforestation is there, and then whether they can be part of certain big projects, big industrial projects which actually need a large area, and then large number of trees are also cut down. So what actually ड्यूरेबल एसेट्स की बनाने की बात है, और उसमें जो चैलेंजेस हैं ड्यूरेबल एसेट्स जो बनाने की जब बात आएगी, तो वो कैसे बना पाएंगे वर्कर्स, ये वाली बात आपको एक 3 4 5 लाइन में उठानी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि हिमाचल प्रदेश में जो चैलेंजेस हैं वो डिफरेंट हैं, जो कि चैलेंजेस केरला में होंगे, जो चैलेंजेस आंध्र प्रदेश में होंगे वो चैलेंजेस आपके यूपी में नहीं होंगे। तो वो वाला एलिमेंट आपको लेके आना पड़ेगा, और उसके अंदर फिर आपको स्टेट की पर कैपिटा इनकम के हिसाब से आप बोल सकते हैं कि भाई वहाँ पॉवर्टी लाइन इतनी है, तो उसके हिसाब से वर्कर इतने होंगे। और हर स्टेट, जैसे यूपी ने तो बोला भी था कि दे आर गोइंग टू क्रिएट अ काइंड ऑफ ए माइग्रेशन और काइंड ऑफ लेबर एम्प्लॉयमेंट बोर्ड, तो आप उस बोर्ड की बात भी कर सकते हैं कि भाई हर स्टेट एक बना दे। तो वो वाला एंगल भी लेके आना चाहिए था कि भाई आखिर जो, क्योंकि क्रिटिकली इवेल्युएट कह रहा है ये, तो क्रिटिकली इवेल्युएट में तो यही बात हुई कि भाई हाँ, कोई कंस्ट्रक्टिव या ड्यूरेबल एसेट अगर है भी, चेक डैम्स है या क्या क्या हो सकते हैं, तो उसके बाद अगर वो नहीं हो पा रहे हैं तो कैसे होंगे, आखिर आप सिंक्रोनाइज कैसे करोगे। सबसे बड़ी बात ये है, पैसा देना तो बड़ा आसान है, लेकिन आप काम क्या करवाओगे, और काम करवा के आप अगली बार ये कैसे इंश्योर करोगे कि वो जो काम एक बार हुआ है वो अगले साल दोबारा नहीं होना पड़ेगा। अगर प्रधानमंत्री ग्रामीण सड़क योजना है वो बह ही गई, हर साल वही बन रही है 2 साल, तो फिर कुछ बात नहीं हुई ना। तो दैट इज वाई दैट एंगल मस्ट बी ब्रॉट हियर इन अ प्रैक्टिकल वे। व्हाट आर द फोर्स फैक्टर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर लार्ज नंबर ऑफ फार्मर सुसाइड्स इन रिलेटिवली रिचर इंडियन स्टेट्स। सो बात सही है, तो आप इसको तगड़े तरीके से ले सकते हैं। शुरू से ही आप कह सकते हो स्टेट तो रिच है, लेकिन जो फार्मर सुसाइड कर रहे हैं अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो रिच नहीं है। यानी कि पॉकेट ऑफ इक्वलिटी एंड पॉकेट ऑफ एक्सप्लॉयटेशन साथ साथ में एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है, यानी लर्किंग डेंजर है चारों तरफ, यानी सस्टेनेबल सिस्टम नहीं है। यानी कि ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन या फिर एग्रीकल्चर की प्रधानता के बावजूद भी the whole scenario is not sustainable. Debt is the killer basically. So ये कैसे लेके आते हैं ये हम देखते हैं। The farmer sources in the richer states represent the double whammy of dilapidated state of agriculture economy compounded with, very true, you have very well written in the beginning and you could have given bracket में आप डेटा दे देते 40% suicides and something like that है, बिल्कुल ऐसा। The rich states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu are not rich because of agriculture. Ultimately, the pressure shifts on the farmer who end up in debt trap. तो ऊपर से थोड़ा नीचे यहाँ पे अलग हमें डालना चाहिए था, थोड़ा रिपीट हो जाता है. It is the major reason identified by NCRB report 2024, 1 lakh suicides, and natural factors like drought, floods destroy crops like Saurashtra, Vidarbha region. Sometimes excess market surplus lead to market price crash, farmer dumping the produce due to absence of warehouses, cold storage chain. बिल्कुल अच्छा लिखा, सिंपल लिखा, बिग टोमेटो, बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Pocketed regions died, economic growth like Bengaluru and in Karnataka and Jamshedpur in Jharkhand and industrial township. Agriculture remains neglected due to lack of political will and R&D expenditure. I think बहुत अच्छे पॉइंट्स हैं और टू द पॉइंट है, लेकिन वही बात है कि फार्मर सुसाइड कर रहा है तो आप थोड़ा सा ना जाते कि कैसे बैंक जो है प्रायोरिटी सेक्टर लेंडिंग के बावजूद भी ये सब हो रहा है. पहली बात तो
जी सर।
2,000 5,000 तुम लेने जा रही हो तो फिर बैंक का मैनेजर ही आपसे 1,000 रुपए मांग लेता है. किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड बोला तो गया है, किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड डिजिटेशन के थ्रू, लेकिन उसको अप्रूव कराने में उसको चक्कर कटा के इतना पटवारी और वो कानून वो और एग्रीकल्चर ऑफिसर ही इतने मतलब खून पी लेते हैं कि बीच में जो बिचौलिए बैठे हुए हैं कि हम फ्रॉड करके भी आपका कार्ड बनवा देंगे और जो लोग नहीं है उनका भी कार्ड बनवा देंगे. वो आपको एक एलिमेंट जरूर लेके आना पड़ेगा.
जी।
फार्मर मजबूर हो जाता है. फार्मर मजबूर हो जाता है कि लोन तो ले लिया लेकिन वो लोन कभी पूरा ही नहीं होता है. वो
हम्म।
उसके पास मजबूरी है, जो उसको फसल में जो खाद डालना है अगर वो 5 रुपए का डालना चाहिए वो तो उसको 25 रुपए का डालना पड़ता है. इन्फीरियर क्वालिटी के सीड मिल जाते हैं उसको, सीड ही पुअर है. अब
हम्म।
उसने तो सीड खरीद लिए,
हाँ।
जैसे सीड खरीदेगा उस सीड के हिसाब से फिर फसल होगी. तो ये दो चार छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, इसलिए ग्राम, इसलिए हमें विलेज लेवल के ऊपर विलेज सीड बैंक की बात है, वही पुअर है. डेटा ही फ्री में अवेलेबल नहीं है, उसको सपोर्ट ही नहीं है, उसको बेस्ट ऑफ द टेक्नोलॉजी अवेलेबल नहीं है, तो फंस गया ना वो तो.
जी
इट इज
सर।
लाइक प्रिपरेशन फॉर सिविल सर्विसेज, कि
हम्म।
पता ही नहीं है क्या हो रहा है. 10 लाख लोग दे रहे हैं, मजाक है क्या पीटी निकालना या प्रीलिम्स के बाद मेंस भी लिखना. तो मतलब कुछ लोग तो लिखते हैं, ठीक है, वो लोग दूसरे तरीके से प्रीलिम्स कर सकते हैं. एक होता है कि भाई आपने वाकई उसको वैसे किया तो वही किसान का हाल भी वही है.
हम्म।
तो लॉस ऑफ ए सिंगल फार्मर लाइफ इज ए ह्यूज ब्लो. बिल्कुल डेफिनेटली एक भी किसान का मतलब जाना तो बहुत वो है. तो आप मतलब थोड़ा सा इसको फील करके लेके आते तो उसमें फीमेल का ज्यादा वो है. अगर मेल नहीं रहा घर में
जी।
तो फीमेल फीमेल को नाम ट्रांसफर नहीं होता है, या फीमेल जो है बहुत बार उसको मिल नहीं पाता. बहुत सारे मतलब पैथेटिक पोजीशन आ जाती है.
जी।
इफ यू कैन रिकॉल, हमारे साथ जब डिस्कशन हुआ था मिस्टर सिंगला का, तो
हम्म।
उन्होंने नंदुरबार का एग्जांपल दिया था कि जब वो वहाँ पे एसडीएम थे तो सुसाइड्स बहुत हो रही थी, सुसाइड्स होती ही थी. तो
जी।
उन्होंने क्लोजली देखा कि क्या है, लेकिन ऐसा तो कोई रोल मॉडल तो बना नहीं पाए मेरे हिसाब से. कोशिश की होगी लेकिन हो नहीं पाया ऐसा कुछ. तो मतलब ये एक बहुत ही दुखती रग है ये, जिसमें पॉलिटिकल आप लीडरशिप का भी एक लाइन लिख सकते हो कि वो भी वो आप जो है लोन तो वेव कर देते हो,
हम्म।
रास्ता नहीं दिखाते हो.
जी।
आज लोन वेव हो गया, 5 4 साल में फिर से लोन रेडी हो जाएगा. कब तक वेव करोगे, वहीं खड़े रहोगे.
हम्म।
और थोड़ी एक दो फिगर ले आइए बस. बाकी आई थिंक अच्छा लिखा है, ठीक है, बात समझ आती है, लेकिन वही बात है कि और स्ट्रक्चर्ड थोड़ा सा हो जाए तो इट मेक्स अ डिफरेंस.
जी सर।
तो व्हाट इज द की टेक अवे बिफोर वी वाइंड अप?
सर थोड़ा मल्टीप्लिसिटी ऑफ पॉइंट्स और थिंकिंग से आंसर और कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव हो सकता है। अभी कुछ कुछ एरियाज थोड़े रह जाते हैं, तो वो आई थिंक मेरे को, मैं थोड़ा ज्यादा एक्सपैंड करके भी लिख रही हूँ पॉइंट्स, तो वो स्पेस जल्दी फिलअप हो रही है, तो ये एक चीज मतलब आइडेंटिफाई हुई है। बाकी तो सर यही है, थोड़ा सा डेटा और एड अप होना चाहिए।
Yes, it's an ongoing continuous exercise. It's
जी।
a kind of joyful and a pleasant practice, which is coupled with the new information, coupled with such ideas which are useful to an individual sincere aspirant, and thereby bringing the goal to success. So with these ideas and attitude, hereby we wish all aspirants a success in getting their goals. And they must be truthful to themselves, they must be more confident about themselves. And it is not just a nokri, because if you believe it is just Naukri, then later on you will be realizing that you have a wrong choice. Maybe you will be willing to even leave it, because you will never be understanding the value for it. Also, same goes for the answers. Anybody can write, everybody can write, but everybody cannot write in a correct way. Everybody cannot fulfill the mandate of the answers, and that is what is shown by the results in the end. And result is always not in terms of failure and success. The result is actually a kind of a supporter to us. If it is low, we try to move forward. If it is high, we are happy. So that's how the goal moves on. And let's try to follow these ideas, however difficult they are. Thank you for being part of Ansarkari in different ways.